to the Parable of the Vineyard Torah Portion Life Study. My name is Adam, your host. We know that the Most High has called a people out of slumber into belief in His Son, Messiah Yahusha, and to walk as He walked, obedient to the commandments. Join us as we study the Torah line by line so that we may fellowship together, grow, edify, train, and prepare the body of Messiah, the children of Israel, for the return of Messiah Yahusha, to be with Him forevermore. O Yahuwah, open Thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of Thy Torah. And welcome, brothers and sisters, and Shabbat Shalom to you. It is our Shabbat, our rest, and super excited. And we're at week 2 of our Torah portions known as Noach, or just simply Noah. But there's a lot more than just with Noah in this Torah portion. It's Genesis chapter 6, verse 9 through 11:32. Goes all through the Tower of Babel. And we're going to be doing a lot of cross-referencing today with the Book of Jubilees and the Book of Jasher to get a full understanding. Because, you know, the Book of Genesis just keeps it kind of simple and runs through history. These other books is what gives us, expounds on the story, gives us more information so we can get more depth of what's really going on out there. So really, really awesome and excited for tonight. Going to look at the chat and make sure you guys can hear me. Before I move on, we've had some technical difficulties, so just going to wait for that before I get started. And actually, while I wait for that, I'm going to turn down my heater, but it's getting a little warm in here, but I guess I'll just sweat it out. Just want to make sure you can hear me. Sounds great. Okay, good. Thanks, Britt. All right, let's go. Sorry, I didn't want to waste anybody's time, but wanted to make sure. Last stream, they lost me for like 5 minutes. What a shame. What a shame. Let's see. Oops, I thought I had the Sefer version up. Give me just a moment. Okay, let's do a screen share. And let me get down to, sorry if this makes you a little dizzy, down to chapter 6. So where we left off was the fallen angels, where they mated with women, made these giants, and the Most High is like, I repented that He made man, and it grieved Him, and He said, I want to destroy everything and basically start over. But we saw that Noach found grace in the eyes of Yahweh, and that's where we left off. So let's pray real quick, and we'll get started. Let's bow our hearts. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Most High, we just come before You in Yeshua's name, Your word, and we're just really eager tonight to study Your Torah, and as the Scripture says, open up our eyes that we may behold the wondrous things out of Your Torah, that we may grow thereby, and hope to somehow understand You better each day, and to be conformed to the image of Messiah Yeshua rather than that of the world. So, bless You, we thank You, we just glorify You, and send hallelujahs up to You. Amen. And actually, I have got to turn that down. This thing is going to literally make me sweat. I'm in my... give me just a second, sorry. Just 1 second. Okay. Sorry for the lack of professionalism there, but I didn't want you guys to be like, why is he sweating during this live stream? Okay. So we're going to kind of read through chapter 6, and then once we start getting to 7 and 8 and 9, we're going to have a lot to discuss. So let's read through Genesis 6, Verse 9, these are the generations of Noach. Noach was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noach walked with Elohim. We saw the same thing with Enoch, that Enoch walked with Elohim. And this is our duty right now, is to walk with Yahweh, and to walk as Yeshua walked. And Noach begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before Elohim, and earth was filled with violence. We saw the Messiah said, as in the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man. For in those days, they're eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, and they were doing so until the day that the ark closed up and took them all away. But also, this is a time, just like it was before, filled with violence and lawlessness. And Elohim looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. We're at that point now, brothers and sisters. We keep asking every year, could it get any worse? And it keeps on getting worse. The very basics of creation has been attacked by the enemy. Male, female, story of creation. Does God exist? Does Elohim exist? All these basic things. And Elohim said unto Noach, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make you an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall you make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which you shall make of it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. The interesting part is what we've actually found through study is the ark was actually bigger than this, because we understand that Moses wrote with royal cubits, which actually makes it a little bit bigger. But we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about the Ron Wyatt's discovery of the ark. A window shall you make to the ark, and in a cubit shall you finish it above. And the door of the ark shall you set it in the side thereof. With lower, second, and third stories shall you make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. And we're going to read later on that Most High is like, hey, I'm not going to ever destroy the earth with water again, but he is going to do it with fire. And that was actually prophesied back in the days of Adam and Eve. Eve actually prophesied that. In the book of the life of Adam and Eve, Eve prophesied that the earth would be destroyed once with the flood and once with fire. Okay. Genesis 6:18. But with you will I establish my covenant, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your woman and your sons' women with you. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall you bring into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto you, to keep them alive. And take unto you of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to you, and it shall be food for you and for them. So because they're going to be in ark for quite some time, he's got to gather, all kinds of food for not only him and his sons and their wives to eat, but also all the animals. Sorry. I need to get a new chair. Thus did Noah, according to all that Elohim commanded him, so he did. So he listened to the Most High, everything he did. Oh, if we would only be so like Noah here. I'm talking to myself too. And Yahweh said unto Noah, Come you and all your house into the ark, for I have seen righteous before me in this generation. Now here, listen to this. This is really interesting, because we see here that Noah knows the difference between clean and unclean. Of every clean beast you shall take you by 7s, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. So even back in the days of Noah, he knew what clean food was and what unclean food was. Clean and unclean wasn't determined in Leviticus 11. It was determined a long time ago, long before that. Enoch knew it, Noah knew it, Abraham knew it, all of our forefathers knew it. of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth. 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And this number 40 actually pops up so many times in Scripture. I just wanted to share this real quick. Not that this is the end all be all, but just a couple neat little things here. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit. Meaning of the numbers, number 40, mentioning 146 times in Scripture. The number 40 generally symbolizes a period of testing, trial, or probation. During Moses' life, he lived 40 years in Egypt and 40 years in the desert before Elohim selected him to lead his people out of slavery. Moses was also on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights on 2 separate occasions, receiving Elohim's laws. He also sent the spies for 40 days to investigate the land Elohim promised the Israelites as an inheritance, Numbers 13:25, 14:34. The prophet Jonah powerfully warned ancient Nineveh for 40 days that its destruction would come because of its many sins. The prophet Ezekiel laid on his right side for 40 days to symbolize Judah's sins. Also Messiah, they don't have it here, but also Messiah Yeshua was led into the wilderness for 40 days to be tempted of Hasatan. So interesting number of testing. And Noach did according unto all that Yahweh commanded him. And Noach was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. And Noach went in, and his sons, and his women, and his sons' women with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of every clean beast, and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and everything that creeps upon the earth. I love that, creeping things. There went in 2 and 2 unto El Noach into the ark, the male and female, as Elohim had commanded Noach. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. So let's back up here. And in the book of Jasher, we get a lot more here of what happened. Because, this story just kind of paraphrases. This happened, this happened, this, and this happened. But there's a lot that happened in between. So let's take a look at this. Book of Jasher, chapter 6. So this kind of also sets the scene as well. At that time, after the death of Methuselah, Yahweh said unto Noah, Go, thou with thy household into the ark. Behold, I will gather to thee all the animals of the earth. So this the story actually tells us how the animals came to the ark, because otherwise it's kind of like, well, how did it happen? Well, we know the Most High did it because we know that Noah didn't go out and be like, come here, lions, or get a leash on a lion and be like, come on. He didn't do all that. Behold, just like he sent all the beasts in front of Adam, when he was to name them. Well, here we go. Something very similar. Behold, I will gather to thee all the animals of the earth, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air, and they shall all come and surround the ark. And thou shalt go and seat thyself by the doors of the ark. Now listen. And all the beasts, the animals, and the fowls shall assemble and place themselves before you, and such of them as shall come and crouch before you shall take and deliver into the hands of thy sons, who shall bring them into the ark, and all that will stand before thee shall leave. So this is interesting. You could pass right by this and be like, oh, whatever. But he says, basically, only the ones that come and humble themselves before Noah go in. So the animals literally have to come up to Noah and not bow down to him, but crouch and show reverence to Noah. And the Most High is like, those you're going to take and deliver into the hands of your sons to bring him in. And Yahweh brought this about on the next day, and animals and beasts and fowls came in great multitudes and surrounded the ark. Imagine that. Imagine what that looked like. And Noah went and seated himself by the door of the ark, and of all flesh that crouched before him he brought into the ark, and all that stood before him he left upon the earth. So he only took the ones that were humble and obedient. Is this a foreshadow of those that will be saved out of tribulation and destruction of the earth, those that are humble and obedient? Now listen to this. This is an interesting story. Verse 5, and a lioness came with her 2 whelps, male and female, and the three, so the mother and the 2 whelps, so all 3 of them crouched before Noah, and the 2 whelps rose up against the lioness and smote her and made her flee from her place, and she went away, and they turned to their places and crouched upon the earth before Noah. So you got the mom and the two babies coming up, and I guess the Most High or the angel, whatever, put it in the two whelps to, like, Mom, get out of here. This isn't for you. And then after doing so, they went back into a humble position before Noah. And the lioness ran away and stood in the place of the lions. And Noah saw this and wondered greatly, and he rose and took the two whelps and brought them into the ark. And Noah brought into the ark from all living creatures that were upon the earth, so that there was none left but which Noah brought into the ark. 2 and 2 came into Noah into the ark, but from the clean animals and the clean fowls he brought 7 couples, as Elohim had commanded him. And all the animals and beasts and fowls were still there, and they surrounded the ark at every place. And the rain had not descended till 7 days after. Everything here is following chronologically with Genesis. And on that day, Yahweh caused the whole earth to shake, and the sun darkened, and the foundations of the world raged, and the whole earth was moved violently, and lightning flashed, and thunder roared, and all the fountains in the earth were broken up, such as was not known to the inhabitants before. And Elohim did this mighty act in order to terrify the sons of men, that there should be no more evil upon the earth. Now listen to this. After all that, this is all Revelation stuff: earthquake, lightning, thunder, huge earthquake, the sun darkening. This is all Revelation stuff. This is all end time stuff that happened years ago. And still the sons of men would not return from their evil ways, and they increased the anger of Yahweh at that time, and did not even direct their hearts to all this. It reminds me of something we read in Revelation 16, 9 through 11. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of Elohim, which hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. So even after all that, they were like not giving him glory. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, what we just saw in Jasher. And they gnawed their tongues for pain, and what? They continued, and they blasphemed the Elohim of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. The same thing we just saw in Jasher. Crazy, right? And at the end of 7 days, in the 600th year of the life of Noah, the waters of the flood were upon the earth. And all the fountains of the deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And Noah and his household and all the living creatures that were with him came into the ark on account of the waters of the flood, and Yahweh shut him in. And listen to this. And all the sons of men that were left upon the earth became exhausted through evil on account of the rain, for the waters were coming more violently upon the earth, and the animals and beasts were still surrounding the ark. And the sons of men assembled together, about 700,000 men and women, and they came unto Noah to the ark. And they called to Noah, saying, Open for us, that we may come to thee in the ark, and wherefore shall we die? And Noah, with a loud voice, answered them from the ark, saying, Have you not all rebelled against Yahweh, and said that he does not exist? And therefore Yahweh brought upon you this evil to destroy and cut you off from the face of the earth. Is not this the thing that I spoke of you 120 years back? Remember, because they were given 120 years of repentance, an opportunity of repentance to turn back, and he was not going to destroy the earth with the flood. And you would not hearken to the voice of Yahweh. And now do you desire to live upon the earth? And they said to Noah, We are ready to return to Yahweh. Only open for us that we may live and not die. And Noah answered them, saying, Behold, now that you see the trouble of your souls, you wish to return to Yahweh. Why did you not return during these 120 years which Yahweh granted you as the determined period? But now you come and tell me this on account of the troubles of your souls. Now also Yahweh will not listen to you, neither will he give ear to you on this day, so that you will not now succeed in your wishes. It reminds me, honestly, what Yeshua says. In that day, many will come to me and say, Lord, Lord, didn't we do this and did we do that? And he will say, No, get away from me. I never knew you. And the sons of men approached in order to break into the ark, to come in on account of the rain, for they could not bear the rain upon them. Now listen to this. And Yahweh sent all the beasts and the animals that stood around the ark, and the beasts overpowered them and drove them from that place, and every man went his way, and they again scattered themselves upon the face of the earth. Crazy, right? Man. All right, let's keep reading on Genesis. Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, in the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the self same day entered Noach, and Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noach, and Noach's woman, and the 3 women of his sons, with them into the ark. They, and every beast after his kind, and all cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noach into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as Elohim had commanded him, and Yahweh shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bore up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. And the waters prevailed, and they were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. That's a ton of waters, brother and sister. How does that happen on a ball spinning 66,000 miles an hour through infinite space? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. What is that? Oh, I'm sorry you have to see that. It's like Day of the Dead stuff. I'm sorry you had to see that. So the let's see. Let me get a bigger one. Let's look at one. Let's see. It's a little bigger. Oh, here we go. So the foundations of heaven, the foundation. This is the great deep. So what happened was, so we have waters above the firmament, and of course the waters below. So what happened was the floodgates of the waters above released, and the water came down through the firmament, through the windows and doors of heaven, as we see right here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, that didn't work too well. So you got the windows and doors to heaven. These were opened up, and you had the floodgates from the great deep that opened up as well, and so you had the water coming down and water coming up. So literally just filled up, and this is how it would happen. You know, and scientists mock the flood story because that can't happen on a spinning ball. It can't. It doesn't happen. You know, take a tennis ball, it's all wet, and spin it. What happens? All that water flies off. That should tell you something about the oceans and the lakes and whatnot. But there's gravity. Man, if there's a force that can hold down the ocean, I mean, pick up a 5-gallon jug of water. That sucker is heavy, right? Well, what about the millions upon zillions of gallons of water in the ocean? What's holding that down? If there's a force holding that down, ooh, wouldn't it flatten us like a pancake? Anyways, enough about that. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of every beast and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heavens, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noach only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Chapter 8. And Elohim remembered Noach and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters were assuaged. So it's not like, you know, this verse could be taken out of context. It's not like, you know, Most High was like, oh, you know, I'm going to bring this flood and Noah, and I'm just going to go do my own thing. Oh, Elohim remembered Noach, right? It wasn't like that. And actually in Jasher, we get a better explanation of what happened. So let's continue with Jasher. Here we go. We'll start here. And the ark, so chapter 6, verse 28 in Jasher. And the ark floated upon the face of the waters, and it was tossed upon the waters, so that all living creatures within were turned about like pottage in a cauldron. So, I mean, to imagine that, like, just... So here we get like some of the backstory of what actually happened while they're in the ark. This is stuff we don't get in Genesis. And great anxiety seized all the living creatures that were in the ark, and the ark was like to be broken. So, I mean, it was just like violently shaken. So they were thinking that the ark was going to break. And all the living creatures that were in the ark were terrified, and the lions roared, and the oxen lowed, And the wolves howled, and every living creature in the ark spoke and lamented in its own language, so that their voices reached to a great distance. And Noah and his sons cried and wept in their troubles. They were greatly afraid that they had reached the gates of death. And Noah prayed unto Yahuwah and cried unto him on account of this. And he said, O Yahuwah, help us, for we have no strength to bear this evil that has encompassed us. For the waves of the waters have surrounded us. Mischievous torrents have terrified us. The snares of death have come before us. Answer us, O Yahuwah, answer us. Light up thy countenance towards us and be gracious to us. Redeem us and deliver us. So this is what happened. So the Most High listened to his prayer, and Yahuwah hearkened to the voice of Noah, and Yahuwah remembered him. So that's what we just read here. Elohim remembered Noah. He was listening to his prayer. And it's the same thing we just saw. And a wind passed over the earth, and the waters were still, and the ark rested. And I think the rest of this is the same in Genesis. Let me just look. Yeah, okay. 8:2. The fountains, Genesis 8:2, and the fountains also the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And I want to show you, there is a awesome documentary. Let's see. There's an awesome documentary. Oh man. Here we go. Here it is right here. Noah's Ark Found, the Ron Wyatt story. Watch this, brothers and sisters. This is amazing, and I truly believe that this man found it. Again, I talked to you earlier about the royal cubit. The only reason why people dismiss this is because the measurements were off. But if you used a royal cubit, which was common in Moses' day, because that was what was used in Egypt. Obviously, we know Moses was very familiar with the Egyptian, all their wisdom. So anyways, so long story short, I really believe the ark was found, and let's see, I'll just put the link in the description box. Let's put this in here. Okay. All right, I put it in the chat if you guys want to. Wow, the chat's going fast. I'll try to remember to put it in the description box or in the comments section after this is uploaded. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountain seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the windows of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a raven which went to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. But he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto the ark. So the dove went out, couldn't find anything, came back. So Noah was like, all right, nothing yet. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. So, some interesting symbology here. We know that the dove, we know that when the Holy Spirit descended on Yeshua, it was like that of a dove. And we know that the olive tree is Israel. So interesting shout outs here. I don't know that I have it figured out exactly what the actual meaning is behind this, and if this is something that you understand, definitely put it in the comment section so we can all grow together. But just interesting symbology here, with the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, with an olive leaf plucked off in her mouth. So something to dwell on and pray about. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth a dove, which returned not again unto him anymore. So he knew that the dove had found a place to go. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, in the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried. And Elohim spoke unto Noach, saying, Go forth of the ark, you and your woman, and your sons' women with you. Bring forth with you every living thing that is with you, of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. So everything got reset. Everything got reset, and they're told to be fruitful and multiply. And Noach went forth, and his sons, and his woman, and his sons' women with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creeps upon the earth after their kinds went forth out of the ark. And Noach built an altar unto Yahuwah. So again, Noah knew how to make offerings, what was clean, what was unclean. This was passed down. If you read the first book of Adam and Eve, Adam did the first offerings, and he passed it down to Seth, and Seth passed it down to Enosh, and all the way down to Enoch and Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Abraham. We learn actually also in Jasher that Abraham spent many years with Noah and Shem learning the ways of Yahweh. Noach built an altar unto Yahweh, and took of every clean beast and of every fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahweh smelled a sweet savor, and Yahweh said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. And Elohim blessed Noach with his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all the fish of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. So we're supposed to be the keeper. We have dominion over. We're supposed to be keepers of everything that the Most High made. Every moving thing. Now this is where a lot of controversy comes from. It says, every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. So some people will use this and say, see, Noah was allowed to eat everything, but we already learned that he knew what was clean and what was not clean. And as Israelites, we are bound to Leviticus 11 with clean eating. So yeah, no pork, no shellfish, no rabbit, all that stuff. Okay. But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. We talked about this last week with the blood, with Adam, or with Cain and Abel, and the blood crying to Yahweh from the ground. The life of the flesh is in the blood. So the blood is life. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. And listen, this goes for all people. Everybody is made in the image of Elohim, and that's something we need to take to heart. Yeshua said it, Matthew 5:43-48. Ye have heard that it has been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. Now, remember, it says you have heard that it was said. Messiah also knew when to say you have heard that it has been written, that it was written. It's written nowhere in the Torah to hate your enemy. It's a saying. That was a saying that was passed down for years. So he's saying, you have heard that it has been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? Right? So even the heathen, unbelieving people act this way, that they only love people that love them. So what I'm getting at is, in the image of Elohim made he man. And that even goes for unbelievers. They're made in the image of man, of Elohim. And if you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans do so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. We'll skip that for today. Okay. And you, Be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. And Elohim spoke unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. This is forever, forever. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth. You know, and it's so sad that there's an agenda out there that has taken such a wonderful, beautiful sign and taken it and put it for their cause. Now, I will say it is different, though, because the rainbow actually has 7 colors, and this other movement that's like an alphabet soup, LGB, you know, they take one color off, and it's only 6 colors, so it's not the same, but, you know, they know what they're doing. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. So, you know, when those things show up, why don't you take some time and look at it, because you never know. The Most High may be looking at it at the exact same time you are, and that's cool. That's awesome. And Elohim said unto Noah, This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth through the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. Now, what's really, really cool is modern-day science will actually confirm this. So basically, the 3 sons, Ham, Japheth, and Shem, which we'll actually learn here in a second, that in the book of Enoch, there were 3 different colors. And 3 different colors have spread apart the whole earth. So right here, science, modern-day science will tell you that 3 races have populated the entire world. You have the Caucasian, you have the white person, you have the Mongoloid. I know it's a weird name, but basically Asians. But actually, it's not. It's also like Indian and Native American, and India, like Indian. And then the Negroid, which is the black. So you've got white, red, and black. And also what happens is there's also 4 major races, because what we learn through the history of the scriptures is we had mixing. We had the sons of Japheth mixing with Ham. You had Shem, other Shemites mixing with the Canaanites, and so that's why you have different shades of color, different other races. But science will say that 3 colors populated the whole earth. Now, also in the book of Enoch, it explains this specifically. So this is a dream vision that spans across many chapters in Enoch. And this chapter here is actually about the flood and about the sons of Noah. Let's read in. This is chapter 50, 60, 70, 80, 89. And one of those 4 went to that white bull and instructed him in secret without his being terrified. He was born a bull and became a man and built for himself a great vessel. This is Noah building the ark, and dwelt thereon. And 3 bulls dwelt with him in that vessel. This is the 3 sons of Noah. And they were covered in. And again I raised mine eyes towards heaven and saw a lofty roof, the firmament, with 7 water torrents thereon, and those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. Again, an enclosure. We're not talking about a spinning ball hurling through space. We're talking about a fixed earth set on foundations, enclosed with the firmament. I mean, see right here in Enoch, it is an enclosure. And I saw again, and behold, the fountains were opened on the surface of that great enclosure, and that water began to swell and rise upon the surface. And I saw that enclosure till all its surface was covered with water. And the water, the darkness, and mist increased upon it. And I looked at the height of that water, and that water had risen above the height of that enclosure. So the water was going all the way to the top, and was streaming over that enclosure, and it stood upon the earth. Let me scroll up. So verse 5. And all the cattle of that enclosure were gathered together until I saw how they sank and were swallowed up and perished in that water. So again, this is talking about the flood of Noah. But that vessel, the ark, floated on that water, while all the oxen and the elephants and camels and asses sank to the bottom with all the animals. So in this dream vision, when we look at oxen and elephants and camels, these are different races of men. So that's why it says camels, elephants, asses sank to the bottom with all the animals. So these aren't necessarily animals. These are a depiction of different races of people. So that I could no longer see them, and they were not able to escape, but perished and sank to the depths. And again I saw in the vision till those water torrents were removed from that high roof, and the chasms of the earth were leveled up, and the other abysses were opened. So this is what we're talking about, the floodgates and the windows of heaven. Then the water began to run down into these until the earth became visible, but that vessel settled in the earth, and darkness retired, and light appeared. But that white bull, Noah, which had become a man, came out of that vessel. Now listen, and 3 bulls with him. That's his sons. Now listen very closely. And one of those 3 was white like that bull, and one of them was red as blood, and one of them black. Brothers and sisters, that's exactly what we just saw from what science says and what it says also in Genesis. That there are these 3 sons of Noah. Of them was the whole earth overspread. This is what we just saw. And I know some people don't like this because, it says what color that Noah was. It also says in, Enoch elsewhere what color Noah was. I didn't write this book, but this is what the book says. But again, color, race doesn't matter because we're the sons of Elohim. We're the sons of Yahweh by faith in Messiah Yeshua. We're just going over history right now. And so that's all I want to read from Enoch. It just really confirms just the truth of the scriptures, brothers and sisters. Just every time we can just confirm that scriptures are true, I'm going to show you every time. And then also Jubilee 720. I forgot what that was. Jubilee 720. Yeah, and so what's also awesome about this is in Jubilees 720, we get an understanding that Noah taught all the commandments and the laws to all of his sons. So everybody, every race had an opportunity to serve Yahweh the Most High. But everybody went their own ways. They started bowing down to statues and denying the Most High. It only took a few generations too. And in the 28th Jubilee, again, this is Jubilee 720, and in the 28th Jubilee, Noah began to enjoin upon his sons the ordinance, so all of his sons, not just Shem, but all of his sons, the ordinance and commandments and all the judgments that he knew, and he exhorted to his sons to observe righteousness. We know that his righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and his Torah is the truth, Psalm 119, 142, and to cover the shame of their flesh, and to bless their Creator, and to honor father and mother, and look at this, and to love their neighbor. This is the commandments, and to guard their souls from fornication and uncleanness and all iniquity. So every race had the truth, and they denied it. Can't blame the Most High. And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank the wine, and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. So, long story short, Noah planted a vineyard, and years, obviously it takes years for this, so there's a lot of time transpired here. But Noah got drunk. He was in his tent. Some people say, other things happened, but I believe that literally Noah was just in his tent naked. And Ham was like, oh, and went to his brothers like, oh, hey, listen, guess what? What's going on with Dad? And Shem and Japheth, they knew better. They're like, I'm not even going to look, and we're going to cover our father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So it's like, wait a minute, Ham did this. Why are you cursing Canaan? We'll see in just a second. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So I'm going to show you Jubilees 10, 29 through 34. I believe Noah was prophesying of what was going to happen and why Canaan was going to be cursed. So Jubilees 10, 29 through 49, 10, 29 through 34. 29, here we go. Jubilees 10:29-34. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river Mitzrayim. This is the land of inheritance for Shem. This is basically modern day Israel, borders of Israel. That it was very good, and he went not into the land of his inheritance, because Canaan was a son of Ham. They basically inherited Africa. And so he's like, I don't want to go. So, and he went not into the land of his inheritance, to the west, that is to the sea, and he dwelt. So he got like the western part of Africa. And he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward, from the border of the Yarden and from the border of the sea. So literally the inheritance of Shem. And Ham, his father, and Cush, and Mitzrayim, and his brothers said unto him, You have settled in a land which is not yours, and which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so, for if you do so, you and your sons will fall in the land and be accursed. So here you go. I think Noah was prophesying that he would be cursed. So accursed be Canaan. Accursed through sedition, for by sedition ye have settled, and by sedition will your children fall, and you shall be rooted out forever. And this is what the conquest of Joshua and the Israelites were. They basically went out and destroyed the Canaanites. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and to his sons did come by their lot. Cursed are you, and cursed shall you be beyond all the sons of Noach, by the curse by which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge, and in the presence of Noach our father. But he did not hearken unto them, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon from Hamath to the entering of Mitzrayim, he and his sons until this day. And for this reason the land is named Canaan. So that's why we learn later in Genesis it's the land of Canaan. But it's also the land of inheritance for Shem, and the promised land for the seed of Abraham. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohai, and Shem and Canaan shall be a servant. Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And this actually came true. Japheth also actually dwelled in some of the land of Shem as well. But that's for another time. And Noach lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noach were 950 years, and he died. I want to read, before we move on, this is the death of Noah, so other than his lineage, we're not going to see more about Noah. Before we do, I want to read an interesting passage also in Jubilees. We're going to read Jubilees 10, 1 through 14. Really, really interesting stuff. For those of you that followed us with the Jubilees readings, you probably remember this. If not, you're in for a treat. This is interesting stuff. Jubilees 10. And in the third week of this Jubilee, the unclean devils began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noach, and to make to err and to destroy them. And the sons of Noach came to Noach by their father, and they told him concerning the devils which were leading astray and blinding and slaying his sons' sons. And by the way, we learn earlier in Jubilees and Enoch that these devils, these demons, they are from the disembodied spirits. They are the disembodied spirits from the giants. So the giants that came from the mating of angels and women. When these giants died, it's where these unclean spirits came from, these devils. And he prayed, so Noah's praying, he's prayed before Yahuwah Eloheinu, and said, Elohim of the Ruach of all flesh, so the God of all the spirits of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish as you did the sons of perdition. For your grace has been great towards me, and great has been your mercy to my soul. Let your grace be lift upon my sons, and let not wicked Ruachoth, wicked spirits, rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth. But do you bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth. And verse 5, and you know how your watchers, the fathers of these Ruachoth, yes, here we go, acted in my day, and as for these Ruachoth, these spirits which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation. So Noah's praying that the Most High basically chains them up. And let them not bring destruction on the sons of your servant, my Elohim, for these are malignant and created in order to destroy. And let them not rule over the Ruachoth of the living, the spirits of the living, for you alone can exercise dominion over them. And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore. And Yahweh Eloheinu bade us all to bind all. So he listened to Noah's prayer. He's like, all right, I'm going to bind him up for you. But then, here comes Satan. And Satan's name in Jubilees is Mastema. And the chief of the Ruachoth, Mastema, Satan, came and said, Yahuwah, Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For these are for corruption, and leading astray before my judgment. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men. So Satan knows his judgment's coming, right? But until then, he knows he has power. He has power on this earth. He's the prince of this earth, is what Messiah said. So Noah's like, bind them all, and Satan's like, hold on, wait. Creator, you know that you made me to do this will. So it's like we see in Isaiah 45, I can't remember what verse, it says that he forms light and creates darkness. He created Satan. He knew. It's not like Satan rebelled and he didn't know it was going to happen. The Most High knew it was going to happen. Why? To test us, to see whether we're going to follow the Most High or not, to see whether they're going to be good or evil. So this is Mastema's job. This is Satan's job, is to lead people astray. And it's your job to not hearken to him and to follow after righteousness and to deny the flesh. He's the tester. He's the accuser. And he's saying, or this Mastema is saying, for great is the wickedness of the sons of men. He knows how easy they are to led astray. He knows. He's been doing it for thousands of years. And he said, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9... So this is the Most High responding. He said, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend to the place of condemnation. So 90% got bound up, 10% were left. And one of us, this is one of the angels, commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness. And we did according to all his words, and all the malignant evil ones we bound in the place of condemnation, and a 10th part of them we left, that they may be subject before Satan on the earth. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with the herbs of the earth. Forget modern day men's medicine. It's the herbs of the earth that the Most High made cures everything. We just don't have this listen, there's a book here, and Noah wrote down all the things in a sefer as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicine. Thus the evil ruachot were precluded from hurting the sons of Noah. And he gave all that he had written to Shem, his eldest son, for he loved him exceedingly above all his sons. Man, I would love to have this book that has a healing for all things. But again, we're living in the time where knowledge is being increased. A lot of our brothers and sisters are figuring out that certain things have healing qualities, like dandelions. We think they're just weeds, those yellow flowers that turn into the puff balls. They have a lot of healing. Plantains look like a weed, have healing powers, healing capabilities. So anyways, just something to think about. All right. So chapter 10, we're going to see a lot of the so-and-so begot so-and-so. And listen, for some of you, this may be boring, but this is important stuff. If all this wasn't written down, honestly, I think it was all done just so we can know the truth of Messiah and his lineage. But we know where everybody went and the overspreading of the earth. This stuff is important. So let's read through it. Genesis 10. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Therak. And the sons of Gomer is Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarma. And the sons of Yavan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodaim. By these were the isles of the other nations divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in the nations. And this is the next son, the sons of Ham, Cush. This is Ethiopia. Mitzrayim, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Siva, Havila, Kafta, and Rama, and Kafteka. And the sons of Rama, Shiva, and Dedan. Like the queen of Sheba. Genesis 10:8. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a warrior and hunter in the earth. He was a warrior and hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the warrior hunter before Yahweh. Let's look at this actually in the Septuagint. This is actually an interesting passage of the Septuagint. Here we go. Genesis. Where are we at? Genesis 10, 8, and 9. Let's take a look at this in the Septuagint. And again, the Septuagint is the Greek translation. This is what was available in the time of Yeshua, in the time of Peter and Paul and all them. This is what they read from. Oh, this is what was available to them. 8 and 9. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a giant upon the earth. And he was a giant hunter before Yahweh Elohim. Therefore they say as Nimrod, the giant hunter before Yahweh. So how did this happen? I think a couple different things. We're going to read Jasher 7, 23 through 31, and Jubilees 8, 1 through 4. Let's go over to Jasher, and we'll see how I believe this happened. Jasher 7, 23 through 31. Oops, not too far. So Jasher 7, 23 through 31. And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son. And they called his name Nimrod, saying, At that time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against Elohim, and the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. Now listen to this. This is where it gets interesting. And the garments of skin which Elohim made for Adam and his wife when they went out of the garden were given to Cush. Now here's how. For after the death of Adam and his wife, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Jared. And when Enoch was taken up to Elohim, he gave them to Methuselah, his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark, and they were with him until he went out of the ark. So it gets passed down. And in their going out, Ham stole the garments from Noah, his father, and he took them and hid them from his brothers. So it got passed through the lineage of Adam, Enoch, Noah, and it was supposed to go to Shem, but Ham stole them. And when Ham begat his firstborn Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers. And when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up, so he got bigger, and when he was 20 years old, he put on the garments. Now listen, and Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and Elohim gave him might and strength, and he was a mighty hunter in the earth. Yea, he was a mighty hunter in the field, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them animals before Yahuwah. And Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies round about. So these garments had some special powers. Now, I think he went a little too far, and he combined it with some dark sentences, if you will. And this is Jubilees 8. Oops, a little far. Jubilees 8, 1 through 4. In the 29th Jubilee, in the first week, in the beginning thereof, Arphaxad took to himself a woman, and her name was Resuya, the daughter of Shushan, the daughter of Elam, and she bore him a son in the third year in this week, and he called his name Canaan. This is not Canaan, but this is different, Canaan. Now listen. And the son grew, and his father taught him writing, and he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. And he found a writing which former generations have carved on the rock, and he read what was thereon, and he transcribed it, and sinned owing to it, for it contained the teaching of the watchers in accordance with which they had used to observe the omens of the sun and the moon and the stars and all the signs of heaven. And he wrote it down and said nothing regarding it, for he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be angry with him on account of it. So I think a combination, I'm just guessing here, I think a combination of Nimrod putting on the garments, probably having access to these writings, and probably starting to drink blood. I think that's where we start to see the resurgence of actual giants, because they were all destroyed in the flood. And Noah's lineage was pure, his sons were pure, and his sons' wives came from Methuselah's daughters or something like that. So these are clean people. So the Nephilim DNA didn't come through, but something was resurrected per se through Nimrod, and I believe it was a combination of those things. All right. So where do we leave off? Okay. So and then back to Nimrod. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur and built Nineveh and the city of Rehoboth and Kelach. And Resen between Nineveh and Kelach, the same is a great city. In Mitzrayim, Egypt begat Ludim and Anamim and Lechavim and Naphtuchim and Pathruchim and Kaluchim, out of whom came Pelishtim, this is the Palestines, and Caphtorim. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. And we see the children of Heth when they interact with Abraham. Abraham buys that field, the bearing place, from the children of Heth. And the Jebusites, and the Amorites, and the Girgashites, and the Hivites, and the Archi. I don't know what that is. Archi, and the Sini, and the Arvardi, and the Samari, and the Hamathi, and afterwards were the families of the Canaanim spread abroad. Let me just read that in the KJV, so I don't want you to not understand who's who. So what were we skimming? 17 through 18. So so the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgasites, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sinite, and the Arvadite, the Zemarite, the Hamathite, and afterward the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. Okay, spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanim was from Sidon as you come to Gerar unto Gaza as you go into Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Sevim and unto Lasha. These basically, again, the Canaanites settled in a land that wasn't theirs. These are the sons of Ham, and after their families, after their tongues, and in their countries, and in their nations. And unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the older, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uts, Hul, Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selach, and Selach begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Yoktan. And Yoktan begat Almodad, and Shelef, and Chatzar Maveth, and Yerach. Let's look at these here. And Joktan begat Almodad, and Shelaf, and Harz Maveth, and Jerah. And Hadoram, and Uzal, and Dikla, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. So, yeah. And their dwelling was from Misha as you go unto Sephar, a mountain of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, and their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations and their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. And, in Jubilees, it really talks about where everybody's land was separated. If you haven't seen it, it is, for our Jubilees teaching, it's part 2, talks all about the separation of the land. I actually put on a map boundaries so you can see exactly where everybody's territory was settled. So if you're interested in that, you can take a look at that. Let's see. Okay. All right. Last chapter, 11. Tower of Babel. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Brothers and sisters, we are there right now. With technology, there is no barriers with speech right now. And this is the first time it's happened since back then. So another reason how we know it's the end times. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. This is using asphalt. Asphalt is for the building. And they said, Go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto the heavens, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. We're going to read a little bit more about their motives here in Jasher in a little bit. And Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And Yahweh said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. So if when the whole world was of one speech and one language, And they were able to, and the Most High says, and now nothing will be restrained from them what they imagine to do. Are we not there again right now? When the world comes together as one, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahweh scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So let's look at this account in Jasher. We're going to read Jasher 9, 21 through 39. We actually get quite a bit. 21 through 39. And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together, Phut, Mitzrayim, Cush, and Canaan with their families, and they said to each other, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top reaching heaven, and we will make ourselves famed, so that we may reign upon the whole world, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them, and that we may not become scattered over the earth on account of their wars. And they all went before the king, which was Nimrod, and they told the king these words, and the king agreed with them in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men, and they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower, and they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' walk, and they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. 24. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower they had imagined to complete. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression and a sin, and they began to build it. And whilst they were building against Yahuwah, the Elohim of heaven, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven. The same thing that's going on right now. We see all these propaganda and all these movies like the Avengers and Marvel movies and whatever. They're always making the Most High the enemy. And that's why they're conditioning the people to, when Yeshua comes down with New Jerusalem, that's going to be the alien threat, the enemy. So again, nothing new under the sun. We're exactly where we were with the Tower of Babel. And all these people and all the families divided themselves in 3 parts. And the first said, we will ascend into heaven and fight against him. I mean, this is just a few generations after the flood, and this is what's already going on, It's just ridiculous. The second said, we will ascend into heaven and place our own gods there and serve them. So they wanted to go into heaven, get rid of the Most High, and place their own idols there. And the third part said, we will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and spears. And Elohim knew all their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. So they knew he existed, and they wanted to go kill him. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high and strong tower, and on account of its height, the mortar and the bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent in it until those who went up had completed a full year, and after that they reached to the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks, and thus it was done daily. So, some people mock this and say, oh, that's so high, that it literally took someone a year to climb all the way up to, once it started reaching literally towards the top, it took them a year to reach up there. Maybe it's embellishing, maybe it's not, I don't know. And behold, these ascended and others descended the whole day, and if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, they would all weep over it, and so they would cry over a fallen brick. If a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. So, how backwards, And Yahweh knew their thoughts, and it came to pass, when they were building, they cast the arrows towards the heaven, and all the arrows fell upon them, filled with blood. And when they saw them, they said to each other, surely we have slain all those that are in heaven. So they're literally shooting bows and shooting arrows with bows, into heaven, and they came back down blood. Of course, the Most High put it on there, but just to mess with them. So they're thinking that they killed him. For this was from Yahweh in order to cause them to err, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built the tower and the city, and they did this thing daily until many days and years were elapsed. And Elohim said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him, to those who were near to him, saying, Come, let us descend and confuse their tongues, that one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so unto them. So 70 languages were dispersed. It's interesting, in the political state of Israel, they're having a 70 nations, gathering. And the man that's head of the Temple Institute, the Temple Recreation, he actually said it himself in an interview that this is the reverse of the Tower of Babel. They want to bring everybody back, and the 70 nations back, and but he says for a good cause, And from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbor lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor, that he would die. So they got so mad that they couldn't understand each other, they were killing each other. Of course, I mean, they're totally whacked out, these people. They literally want to shoot the Most High. I mean, it's just crazy. And they did so many days, and they killed many of them in his manner. And Yahweh smote the 3 divisions that were, and he punished them according to their works and designs. Those who said, "We will ascend to heaven and serve our gods," became like apes and elephants. What is that? That is interesting. I don't know what to say to that. And those who said, "We will smite the heaven with arrows," Yahweh killed them, one man through the hand of his neighbor. And the 3rd division of those who said, "We will ascend into heaven and fight against them," Yahweh scattered them throughout all the earth. Okay, we'll just stop there because the rest is the same in here. These are the generations of Shem. Genesis 11:10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begat Shelach. I'm sorry, not 530 years and begat Shelach. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Shelach 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Shelach lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Shelach lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. So you're seeing the lifespan just going lower and lower and lower. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terach. This is Abraham's father. And Nahor lived after he begat Terach 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terach lived 70 years and begat Avram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terach. Terach begat Avram, this is Abraham, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terach in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Kasdim. And we don't have time to read this tonight, but those of you that joined me on the Isaiah stream, I was telling you that in the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were actually not the first ones to be thrown into a fire and to survive. Actually, Abraham and Haran were thrown into the fire by Nimrod, and Haran died because his heart was not pure before Yahweh, but Abraham survived in there for 3 days. I think he was walking around, and then Nimrod finally pulled him out. But that's how Haran died. And Avram and Nahor took them women. The name of Avram's woman was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's woman Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Yekath. But Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Avram, his son, Lot, the son of Haran's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Avram's woman. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Kasdim, so the Ur of the Chaldees, so this is when they were pulled out of it, to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So, that was the Torah portion, Noach, week 2. And I pray that it was a blessing to you. I had a lot of fun studying this, and lots to pull from when you compare Genesis, Jasher, and Jubilees. And we're going to continue to do that in the Septuagint as we go along, and to make sure that we get the fullness of the story and the fullness of the understanding. So, anyways, I'm going to just say shalom to you, a couple of you in the chat, and I'm going to end this tonight because I am ready to Shabbat. Well, this is Shabbat and Shaloming for me, but I'm ready to just... Usually I'm pretty wound up after these, but I'm still kind of recovering from what being grounded for almost 2.5 weeks. So, in any case, quick sip. Roger PH says, truth is the new hate speech. It's true. Woe to them that call evil good and good evil. Hope Henley, where did Adam say he posted a map? It's actually in the Jubilees study. It's in part 2. And almost the whole stream is about the separation of the land assignments between Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So, pretty awesome. Lynette Moody, Shabbat Shalom, sis. Joe Decker, Melina Washington, Nathan Kopelik. Yeah. Shabbat Shalom, Timothy Graff. Good to see you all. Babita. Yeah, I'm glad to be feeling better too. Listen, a lot of good came from me being down for 2.5 weeks. A lot of good came from it. So praise Yahweh. And again, one of the major things, that reason that happened is I was praying quite a bit. If the Most High wanted me to quit college or to continue on. I really felt like He was kind of telling me, "Hey, quit. I want you to put your full effort into this ministry." And, because you all deserve it. You all deserve my full effort. And He gave me a sign, and I didn't act. He gave me an easy way out. It's like, here, I'm showing you right now, I want you to quit school. And I didn't listen. And so weeks later, I'm still praying about it. Puts me in bed for 2.5 weeks. I can't go to school. I get kicked out. I get, withdrawn from my classes because I couldn't go. I couldn't get up out of bed. But other good things happen from that as well. So I'm really glad to be putting full effort back into the channel. And, He'll give you an easy way to listen. And, sometimes we're stiff-necked, and I had to go the hard way. So, yeah, it was painful, but, learned a lot. So, but I'm glad to be out of bed and glad to be up and doing this. So, oh yeah, Nathan. Yeah, yes. I'm not gonna boast about what I've done, but yes, to answer your question, yes. Jonesy, Adam is Shem Melchizedek. I believe so. A lot of people will dismiss the whole book of Jasher because of that, but I believe Melchizedek was an early lineage starting with Adam, and it kept getting passed down. I believe Enoch was of the line of Melchizedek. I believe Noah was, and I believe it was passed down to Shem. And then we don't really hear about it after that. Actually, I believe also Abraham passed it on, and then so on and so forth. But somewhere along the line, we kind of lost that, and then it was replaced with the Levitical priesthood. But then we know, of course, Messiah, Yeshua, and that's where in the book of Hebrews that he was called after the order of Melchizedek. So he brought back the perfect priesthood, and he therefore became our perfect high priest of the order of Melchizedek. And so on and so forth. And yes, we get that understanding from the book of Jasher, which I do believe is true. So anyways, that's where I'm at with that. Anyways, yeah. Let's see here. Sister Cloud9, Jennifer, good to see you. It's great hearing your testimony the other day, sister. It was excellent. Praise you. Lizette and Wilford. Hey, good to see you. I don't get to see you guys a lot in chat. Good to see you both. Hope you all are doing well. Sherry Heights, Sherry Stadel, Jessica Wicker. Good to see you. Joe Decker, Adam, when Yeshua went to hell, does that mean we have to? In the book of 2 Esdras, also known as 4th Ezra, chapter 70, like verses 70 through 140, tells us about what happens when someone dies. Long story short, they have freedom for 7 days. They're shown either whether they're wicked or good. They're shown 7 different things, and then they're gathered into the habitations, either into a habitation of shame and contempt, like we saw, with the story of Lazarus, and I think it was the book of Luke, or was it John? And then you had Abraham's bosom, where there was peace and serenity. And so, yeah, I believe that you go to Sheol, one of those two places. You're either in a peaceful sleep in Abraham's bosom, or you're in the other side of shame and contempt. So, but until that day, yes, anyone that dies before the first resurrection, I believe so. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up because it is time for me to lay down. Yeah. All right, let's do a quick prayer, and then we will get back to Shabbat and Shalom. And yeah, don't forget Bible Trivia, Christian Truthers channel, 8:30 Central. The topic is Zechariah 1 through 7, chapters 1 through 7, and it includes 7. A lot of fun. He gives away stickers, shirts, and a sefer. So come hang out. All right, as Brother Alan Horvath would say, let's bow our hearts. Heavenly Father, Abba, Yahweh, we just thank you for your word, Yeshua, as by belief in him, cleansed us from sin and given us the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. We thank you so much for being able to assemble in fellowship like this, to learn together, to grow together. And we just pray that you continue to open our eyes and ears that we may behold the wondrous things out of your Torah. And just pray that we can continue to be a light to those that don't understand this yet. And we can just plant mere seeds and let you do the increase. We love you, we bless you, and we just thank you for the Shabbat. We thank you for a full day of rest, no working, no buying, no selling, just a day of rest, family, as it's written in Jubilees, to eat, to drink, and to bless you who have created all things. And so we love you. We send hallelujahs up to you. Yeshua's mighty name. Amen. Brothers and sisters, hey, Shabbat Shalom to you. Love you, and we'll see you next week.